Hey everyone, and welcome to my fifth video of this 2023 Natural Bodybuilding Competition Prep series. So this is another update with a particular focus where I'll be sharing a little bit more about my nutrition, what my parameters are to some extent, as well as the meals that I'm eating. I'm also going to go through some of my latest training footage as well, as per usual, kind of walk you guys through that. And then just update you, of course, on how everything's been going and how I've been progressing. And by the way, if you like the video, please go ahead and like it. And if you're enjoying this series, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can continue following me on my prep journey. Okay, so first things first, the last week has gone really well. Last week, I actually dropped my calories a little bit more as Jeff instructed. And we dropped things about, on average on my low days, about 200 calories, and on my high days, about 300 calories lower. And everything, the adjustment was just fine. I'm still feeling great. Energy still very high, and my body weight has dropped again too. So I was kind of plateauing over the past couple weeks at around 196.6 was around my low. I'm actually down a little bit more since then. Since I made that drop, I'm about 194.6. So since we made the drop a little bit more than a week ago, I'm down about 2 pounds, but overall I'm still averaging about a pound a week lost. So everything is going really well. The adjustment was great. I'm noticing some more prominent changes to my physique. So each time I lose a half a pound of weight, it becomes a little bit more apparent when I look in the mirror, which is really cool. I'm starting to see more lines on my lower body, especially, and my upper body, everywhere actually. But the places that I'm always looking in particular is my lower body, because I know that's the last place that my fat is going to come off. It usually comes off of my upper body first. Maybe you can consider that lucky, but it takes a good amount longer for me to lose the body fat on my quads and then my hamstrings, and last but not least, my glutes. So that's where it's going to take the longest. But yeah, I'm starting to notice changes all over. It's really cool. So I'm really excited about that. It's always really motivating when we make a kind of a nutrition change, and then we can start seeing the number on the scale drop, and we start seeing like the visual changes. And if we're motivated, then it makes the whole process easier. So it's like, yeah, we lost a couple hundred calories here and there, but it's so worth it. Energy's still high, still feeling, I feel an edge of hunger, and sometimes, like, not gonna lie, like, it's starting to creep higher. But hey, such is the nature of being in a competition prep. There's gonna come a point where it is gonna hurt. Like, it's definitely going to be pretty darn uncomfortable, but I'm trying to condition myself now to it, and try to kind of embrace that feeling of being hungry here and there, because it is going to be a little bit more apparent later on. So I'm trying to really prepare myself for that now, and just to embrace it. Natural bodybuilders will kind of use the phrase "embrace the suck," just to kind of get yourself ready to experience a good level of discomfort for an extended period of time. So I'm trying to prepare myself for that as it comes later through the prep. But yeah, anyways, that's going really good. Really happy with the progress. You guys might notice that over these videos, I haven't actually been sharing with you any progress photos. And there is kind of a reason for that. So the progress photos that I'm taking for myself and for Jeff they're very non-social media friendly photos, as in just meaning that they're not flattering. Like, it's very harsh lighting, super harsh, honest lighting, no shadows. So basically how I take the photos is there's my window, and then I put my camera in front of the window, and then there's me. So I'm getting all this natural light from outside, so there's no natural shadows hitting me, so you can't really see. It's not like if you go to like that perfect spot in the gym and take a picture of yourself where like the shadows are just right and you can see all this added definition and you look like you got 20 pounds more muscle and you got like 10 pounds less body fat. It's not like that at all. It's like just the photos are very washed out, and it makes it very apparent all the body fat that's still left on my body. And that's why we are taking the photos like that, is because we want them to be super honest. We want to be able to see where all of the pockets of body fat are right now. And there's a lot, because hey, this is week 10 of the prep, so I got a lot to go. Geez, I'm going to be, it's like 6 months until I do my first competition. So we got a lot of body fat to lose. But anyways, they're not the most flattering, like social media like influencer types of photos. They're just super honest, pretty washed out looking. So hey, I'm not sharing them because I want to share them when they are looking a little bit sharper for you guys. And I will show you like the befores and afters and the rate of progression with this kind of lighting. But I'll wait until we're probably at least a few months down the road when I'm looking a little bit more crisp. Yeah, so hang on tight for that. But aside from that, I think the next point I wanted to share with you was kind of how the nutrition is going. So I'll talk a little bit about where my nutrition started and where it is now, a couple of the changes that we made, and I'll describe my meals for you in some detail. So when I first started the prep back in January, my high days were about 3,200 calories. And my low days were about 2,700 calories, 2,750 calories. So that was kind of my starting point. After about 4 or 5 weeks, the body weight started to stall as far as like weight drop goes. So there was a little bit of a stall there. So we made a change. We dropped the calories, I believe, by another 200, both on the high days and the low days. So low days were around 2,500, high days were around 300. And then just last week, we dropped the calories again. So now my low days are right around 2,300, my high days around 2,700. So we actually dropped my high days down 300 instead of 200. So that's what I've been doing the last week. And hey, my weight is steadily dropping. So everything seems to be working just fine. My energy, so energy's good. Hunger levels have been creeping higher. I mean, that's just kind of what happens when you are in a contest prep, that's for sure. It's totally manageable. So I'm going to enjoy that, enjoy being able to manage it while I can. And the intention is to manage it the whole time. It's, again, a natural bodybuilder or a bodybuilder, and all bodybuilders in general will say, embrace the suck, because eventually we get to a point where it's really hard. But yeah, so that's all going well. So what I'll do now is I'll share with you a little bit about the meals that I'm eating. So, and kind of how I structure it. So something that I should have mentioned earlier is I do have 2 high days and 5 low days. So 2 higher calorie days and 5 lower calorie days in the week. Reason for that is, there's different ways to do it. You could just have technically like all low days, and like that's a way of doing it too, or you could have more high days or whatever. This is just one way of doing it. But it's working really well. So I'm eating 3 meals per day, super basic, square, 3 good meals per day, and that's what I'm doing. So my breakfast, same thing, and these 3 meals are pretty much the same all the time. My first meal, and you guys might think this is funny, but it's literally just a 2 ingredient meal. You're probably going to think this is so boring. It is just skim milk. It's like a higher protein, lactose-free skim milk. And it's a good amount of it. I think I'm having about 800 grams of it, and then I have about 75 grams of oats with it. So what I do is I measure my skim milk, and then I measure my oats, mix it all together, put it in the microwave for like 10 minutes, heat it all up, and then voila, there's my meal. I do sweeten it with sucralose. It's an artificial sweetener. It's 0 calories, but it's not technically 0 calories. I think they put like maltodextrose or something in it too, which it has calories. So it's not truly 0 calories, but it's a very, very low calorie sweetener. So I use that in it to sweeten it. So it's literally just sweetened milk and oats. And there's so much, it's kind of funny. There's so much milk in it. The milk to oats ratio is so high that it's almost like having oatmeal soup. It's not even like oatmeal, it's oatmeal soup. But that's the way I like it. I like it's hot and it's sweet, and I like just like sipping on it in the morning while I'm doing my work, and it keeps me full enough. So it keeps me full to the point where I usually will eat it 1 to 2 hours before I go work out while I'm working. And then I'm fine. Maybe I start to get a little bit hungry at the start of my workout, but as soon as I start working out, my appetite goes away, because when you work out, if you're training hard enough, your body will release cortisol acutely, which is a good thing in that context. And one of the properties of cortisol is it suppresses your appetite. So it's fine if I start to get a little bit hungry by the time I start training, no big deal, because it goes away from the training itself. And then I finish a training session, I come home, and I already am starting to get my next meal ready, which is my lunch. Now, before we talk about the lunch, you might be thinking, well, what the heck? You're like only having 2 ingredients in that meal. There's no fruit, there's no vegetables. Like, what the heck is going on? So, a couple things. One, there is a high quality protein source. That's the milk. There's a lot of it. It's like fortified with more protein or filtered with more protein. I don't know how they make it, but I get a lot of protein in that meal from the milk. So that's my high quality protein source, lactose free milk. And then the oats, they're pretty beneficial for your health. There's definitely more good that comes with them than harm, as long as we're not overeating the oats. Keeps me feeling pretty full. It's a pretty good source of fiber. So that's fine. Now, as far as the vegetable and fruit content goes, I still meet a particular amount over the course of the entire day. So I still get lots in my other meals that pretty much has me covered as far as like getting more fiber in, and also all the micronutrients that come with the vegetables. That's why I'm actually okay without including fruit or vegetables with my breakfast. Now, that's not to say that everyone should do this, but this is kind of the way that I have put together my breakfast and my other meals in a way that works really well for me. So, hey, if we're talking about everyone's meal plan being that it should be tailored for them, I'm no exception. Mine is tailored to me in a way that works really well. So hey, there you go. So next meal is, and this might be my favorite meal. It is, so I use a California mix of grilled vegetables, about 500 grams of it, and I cook it right from frozen. I have that with extra lean ground turkey. I have that with air fried white potatoes, and I have it with a couple eggs. So that's a great meal. There's lots of vegetables. The high quality protein source is the turkey, plus there's the eggs, so we're getting some healthy fats in there as well. There's fat with the lean turkey as well too. The fats, it's beneficial for our health for sure. Got lots of fiber and macros from the mixed vegetables, which is broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, and and then we got potatoes, which is just a starchier carbohydrate source, and there's more fiber with it, more or less, and they're pretty filling, and I like the taste of all of it. So hey, it just suits my palate really well. I think it tastes really good, keeps me full enough for sure. I am getting to a point where like I finish my meal and it's like, yeah, I definitely could keep eating, but I am not. I could keep eating, but like I'm good enough, like I'm satisfied. So that's important. Now, something that I'm actually I'm missing in the video that's just been shown here is I'm also eating a can of sardines with that meal as well. So the sardines, a little bit more protein on top of that, really great fat from it as well, and also omega-3s. So I try to get a particular amount of omega-3s over the course of a day, over the course of a week. The canned sardines are great for that. Plus, it takes no prep time. I think it tastes really good. So I'll just have that on the side with it as well. And yeah, so that meets all of my nutrition parameters for that meal. Tons of vegetables too, which kind of balances out with the meal before, which doesn't really have any vegetables. Okay. Love that meal, by the way. Taste is so good, and it keeps me full enough. So full to the point of being satisfied. Probably could keep eating more, but hey, satisfied after. Now, our third and final meal is, it's kind of similar to the second one. I use a different protein source, so I use extra lean ground beef instead of turkey. So the beef is going to be a little bit higher in things like iron and zinc, which is going to be beneficial for like maintaining strength and muscle, and even, hey, maybe I'm going to build a little bit more in the next little while. That would be nice. So it'll help with that. Plus, it's a great high quality protein source. The vegetable I'm using is zucchini. It's very low, it's super low calorie. That is a very low calorie dense vegetable, that's for sure. A little bit more fiber in there. Geez, they're mostly water. But yeah, we're getting some more micronutrients from that, and it's also adding a little bit more volume, filling me up, keeping me full. Potatoes, again, air fried potatoes with white potatoes, I should say. And then a couple more eggs, so 2 more eggs on there. So very similar to the first meal, but differences being the type of protein, the type of vegetable, and that's about it. But yeah, the meal to me tastes really good as well. Keeps me full going to bed, at least, again, full enough. Last night, I would note that I'd say within an hour before going to bed, yeah, I was starting to get a little hungry again, but you know what? It's like, that's okay, because I just go to sleep, wake up, work for a little bit, I have my coffee, and then I eat another meal. So it's like, yeah, it's okay. I'm just going to fall asleep anyways. But yeah, everything with those meals, it's very, very suitable for me, very appropriate. This is admittedly the first time I've done a prep with 3 meals and not 4 meals a day. So for the 3 preps that I've done before this, it was all 4 meals a day. This is the first time I've done 3. And one of the reasons why I'm really liking the 3 meals a day instead of the 4 is because it just works really well, or it works best with my work schedule. So I'm very, very busy with all the work that I'm doing, and then trying to get a training session in the middle of the day. So having a 4th meal kind of that I have to prepare and that I have to kind of somehow fit in the day, it's like pretty tough to kind of manage throwing that in there. So the 3 meals, as far as like fitting into my schedule, my work schedule, it's best. And it's good. I like the larger sized meals. If I had 4 meals, I'd have to decrease the meal sizes a little bit. And I'm liking the larger meal sizes with the 3 meals. So there's nothing wrong with it for me. Some people might benefit from having a 4th meal. Some people might benefit from having 5 meals a day. It's less of an argument. Well, there's less of a probability that like 6+ meals is going to be that great, or maybe less than 3 is going to be that great. It depends on the individual. There are some physiological considerations to keep in mind as well. Like maybe 2 meals isn't optimal for like the overall process. Maybe 6 meals isn't either, as well as logistically, but 3 to 5 meals tends to be a pretty good ballpark eating frequency for most people. So yeah, I'm eating 3 meals per day. It's going really well. And by the way, on the days that are high days for me, so my high days, I eat the exact same 3 meals, but I just add in some rice cakes. So I add about 500 calories worth, well, actually now it's about 400 calories worth of rice cakes that I eat on top of my regular meals. So my high days, the only thing I change is I add rice cakes. And one of the reasons I chose that for my high days instead of just like making like my meals bigger or like adding a chocolate bar or 2 or something like that is because I want to keep it very plain. I want to keep the differences very plain. Like rice cakes in particular, they're not very satiating. Like they're like air basically. They're not very satiating, so I don't get like hooked to them. I don't start really missing them during the week when I'm not eating them. So it makes the process easier for me basically. If I have something that's not super hyper palatable on top that I'm just thinking about all the time. So there you go. But anyways, that about covers what I'm eating. So if you guys have any questions about like nutrition or anything like that related to a natural bodybuilding competition prep, or just for like muscle growth, fat loss in particular, or my prep in particular, please go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to kind of go through and do the best I can to answer. But there you go. That's a little bit about my nutrition. We'll probably have to drop my calories again, maybe more than once as the prep continues. So I'm going to enjoy the calories that I'm eating while it lasts. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to ride this for a long time. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, aside from that, it's going good. Next part here, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of my training footage. I'm going to kind of commentate over top of it like I have in past videos. So I'm really excited for that. Training's going really well. So let's dive right into it. See you there. The goal with training during this competition prep or for any fat loss phase should probably be to continue making strength progress. So that's exactly what my intention is. Every time I set foot into a training session is try to perform a little bit better, to try to get in that extra rep, to try to lift a little bit heavier, kind of following the systems that I have set up for myself. That being said, eventually there is going to come a point where I really struggle to make progress with my strength, and I might even start regressing a little bit. That might be a lot later on down the road, but it probably will happen. That just comes with the territory of being super, super, super lean. Eventually strength will go down at least a little bit. And when that starts to happen, then we'll have to make some changes to the program, how I plan to progress in some other way, and make changes to maybe volume, like how many sets I'm doing, and like how often I'm training. So maybe I'll actually train a little bit less when I'm deeper into the prep. Right now, by the way, I'm training 5 days a week. So I train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday's rest, then Friday, Saturday I train, and then Sunday's a rest. So maybe when I get deeper into the competition prep, maybe I'll actually train 4 days a week and take like Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday off, or maybe Thursday and Saturday off and Sunday off, like something like that. Not sure yet, but there might be one of those kind of changes that comes later on down the road if it's warranted. Training right now, strength is progressing, so no complaints. Everything is going really well. I'm still really looking forward to all of my training sessions. It's fun being able to still progress and to look in the gym mirrors and start to see changes in my physique. Sometimes it's more apparent seeing the physical changes when you're moving and when you're doing the exercise versus when you're just looking in the mirror. So like if I'm doing if I'm doing these, for example, and I look up at the mirror across the room, sometimes I can see my rectus femoris, which is one of the heads of my quads, sticking out a little bit more than maybe it did last week, or at least that's how I perceive what I'm seeing, which whatever's happening, at least I can say it's motivating for me. So I'm going to take that as a win. These are, again, like I'm absolutely loving these bent over rows. I started doing them instead of the barbell ones because of my elbow. I had that nagging injury, which is, geez, it's like 90% gone now. I still need to be careful with it, but it's really healed up well. But I started doing these because of that. It gives, using the dumbbells gives my wrist more room to move freely. So you can actually see I'm rotating here in a way that's really comfortable, and it just works well. You'll notice that I actually round my thoracic spine, my upper back at the bottom of each rep there. And yeah, it's on purpose. I do that to allow my upper body musculature to stretch out. So my lats stretch out, my rhomboids stretch out, my traps stretch out. So a lot of load in that, loading in that elongated position. And it's probably pretty stimulative for muscle growth and at the very least maintaining my muscle. And it's great. I love the feeling after I finish the exercise too. It's like I can feel like kind of my whole back is kind of pumped, which is you know, that's the feeling that we want when we're lifting weights, at least for me in some context. So there you go. This is one of my favorite hamstring glute exercises. I think a lot of people kind of do this with the intention of training their lower back, but you'll actually notice like I'm moving purely from the hip here. Maybe there's a little bit of lower back movement, but overall my lower back is kind of staying stationary in one position. Most of the movement is stemming from the hips, and that's because the hamstrings and glutes, well, as a byproduct of only moving from the hips, it's mostly the hamstrings and the glutes that are doing the moving. So it's like a hip hinge. It's like a Romanian deadlift, but the resistance is a little bit different. The loading's a little bit different. But yeah, it's great. So I love doing these. I also do Romanian deadlifts with dumbbells in my program as well. So I have 2 hip hinge exercises for my hamstrings and glutes in my program, and it works really, really well. I definitely get a big gnarly pump in my hamstrings, maybe in my glutes too, but I tend to not think about that as much for whatever reason. But yeah, feels really great on that on those posterior lower body muscles. And it also is like, it's nice on the body in that it's not overly injurious. Like there's just a low probability that I'm ever going to injure myself doing something like that. So it's a nice way to add another hip hinge in a way that's, as the Renaissance periodization crew would say, what is it? Low stimulus to fatigue ratio, something like that. But yeah, and so these are my favorite, my current favorite chest flies at this gym, or chest fly machine at this gym. And one of the reasons I like it, it's kind of unique, and maybe this is all in my head, but this is how it feels like to me. Now it feels like with this machine, the resistance curve is that it feels hardest at the top of each rep. So the toughest part of the rep is at the top. And that's interesting because for most pressing type movements, we tend to be strongest at the top. So if that is the case, and I'm not actually crazy, then that's pretty cool that the exercise is kind of complementing our strength curve. So you would say the resistance curve of the exercise is kind of complementary to our strength curve. It's hardest where the body is the strongest, so that kind of makes sense. But anyways, it's a pretty unique feeling. I really like it. So definitely holding that in my program as long as possible. And then here we have some good old-fashioned leg presses. These are getting really hard. I'm not gonna lie, I am trying to progress with these, and I am progressing with them. So we got in I believe it was an 18th rep here. So, I mean, you can see I got 4 plates on each side, which, I mean, isn't terribly impressive. You see guys come in and like put the whole, like every plate they can possibly find on the machine and just kind of rep away, do as many reps as they can. But like for me, four plates on here right now. I'm trying to get 8 reps, moving really controlled with the largest range of motion possible. Every rep, I'm telling you, every one of those 18 reps, starting from the first one, is hard. It's like, I usually like finish my first rep and I'm like, holy crap, how am I going to do 15, 16, 17, 18 reps? Because literally every one of them is tough. And then by the time I get to the end of the set, it's like, holy moly, like just you can do it. When I'm pushing really hard, I do have these conditions kind of at the back of my head at all times too, and those conditions being like, yeah, you want to try to hit that 18th rep, of course, but make sure that you do that without compromising your setup or your technique. So, for example, if like my lower back starts really rounding up or my knees really start caving in, I lose that good solid setup, that structural integrity, then I'll stop before that. So like I give myself permission to stop early, and I make it a condition for myself actually not to do more reps that's gonna break my form basically. And then last but not least, here we got some dumbbell chest presses. Been a staple in my program for probably since I was like 12. Just, yeah, we love it. You just love it. But anyways, yeah. So this concludes the last video of my last several training sessions here. Going really well so far. Still progressing with strength. Still loving my training sessions. And so there you go. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoy having you here. I'm grateful that you're kind of following along my journey. If you like the video, please like it. If you want to continue following me, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below too if you have any questions or you just want to say hello. But yeah, thanks again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.